long Reuben and Sarah waited with no food, nothing to drink. Do you know how long?
Well, I imagine they were...
3 hours. We just sat there and stared at each other, wondering where you were. I finally had to send them home so they could at least eat before the sun went down. But did I get to eat? No. I had to wait for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was just so much.
So, where's the food you were supposed to bring back?
Oops.
Oh, Simon.
I'm sorry. I guess I just got so involved in what was going on.
What was going on?
Well, I was on my way into the market, and there was a parade of prisoners being taken to the skull to be crucified. And one of the men collapsed. And so they took me out of the crowd, and they asked me to carry his cross. So I did.
And you expect me to believe that?
Of course! Why would I make that up?
I don't know, Simon, but you're gonna have to come up with a better excuse than that if you ever want me to cook. Oh, Simon, oh, your back. Oh, let me see your back. Ugh. Oh, dear, what have you done to yourself? Here, let me get some oil for that.
I told you! I had to carry a man's cross. It was a little bit heavy.
A little heavy? Your back is completely raw. You're one big bruise.
I had no choice. I told you. They pulled me out of the crowd.
Ugh. Filthy Romans. I'm so sick of them. Who do they think they are? They treat us like slaves and nobody does a thing about it.
Actually, the man whose cross I carried was actually standing up to their authority.
Whoa. Why does this seem to always happen to you? It seems like every time you go into town, you attract some sort of trouble.
I just have a talent for it, dear.
Darling, you've really done a job on your back.
Yes. But when it heals, it'll be stronger than ever.
I suppose. If it heals, if an infection doesn't develop, if you haven't done any permanent damage.
That's why I'm so thankful to have a wonderful wife like you to take care of me. You take good care of me, yes.
Oh, and guess who has to go into town for food while you're recovering?
I can still walk.
No. You rest. Oh, besides, who knows what kind of trouble you'll find next time you go into town.
Well,
why couldn't this prisoner carry his own cross?
Well, he looked like he'd been beaten. And, but just, you know, more than just the usual beatings, his whole body was just shredded. I mean, he could barely move. And he could barely speak because there was so much, you know, his jaw was dislocated. And there was just blood everywhere. And he kept trying to wipe the blood out of his eyes. But even his hands were covered in blood. And there were scars all over his body, as if but they were at different stages of healing, almost as if he'd been beaten for like all night. Oh my word! I couldn't imagine what he looked like beforehand.
What did he do to merit such a beating?
Have you ever heard of Jesus of Nazareth?
You mean the one that calls himself God? He's the one they were executing? They beat him that severely for being crazy.
I take it you don't believe his claims, dear.
Of course not.
Well, have you ever really thought about it, though?
You mean besides the fact that it's so completely ridiculous? As a matter of fact, yes.
And don't you even see the possibility?
Why would a god make himself a man? And if he is a god, why were they able to crucify him? It doesn't take a rabbi to figure it out. He was just a poor, deluded man.
But if you could have heard him speak, Ruth, he spoke with even though he was in so much pain, he spoke with a wisdom from somewhere else. The words that came out of his broken lips, he just spoke with such conviction and wisdom. And then he would try to rip the blood out of his eyes to see us. Like he really wanted to see us. Even in that pain, there was love. But something greater, you know? I mean, you read the prophecies. Moses prophesied about someone better, as did Abraham. Stories of a man healing the sick and helping the poor and bringing freedom and teaching. And
So, where was all this power when he was being crucified?
well, when they put that cross on my back, it felt like the weight of the world was on my back. And it was on me, like they had placed a destiny on my shoulders. But it felt important. It felt like an honor.
That doesn't make sense. If you think he might be the Messiah, then how could you feel good about helping with his execution?
But it didn't feel like an execution. It felt more like a ceremony. As if he chose that for himself. As if he wanted it to happen. Like he wasn't resisting. Oh, it's like he was driven to continue. Even though his body collapsed. So I continued the burden for him. And it was an honor. I believed in him. I believed that I was part of something really important, even though I don't fully understand it.
Understand what?
Well, the cross. It was like a tree trunk. And I've never been able to carry something that heavy. Yet, when I put my shoulder under the cross, the strength came to me from somewhere.
You need rest now.
And I carried it all the way up to the skull. I did it. I believed in him. And I carried it. I carried it to the end.